All right. So this is a little piece of my dissertation. My name's Ingbert. In LIS, we have an emphasis on the reuse of documents, whether it's traditional libraries, archives, information retrieval, or even the index cards of Paul Otlet, where he cut out pieces of books and glued them onto them. But in the research that I've been doing in the organization I'm studying, it seems like a lot of the users approach information more from a but why use an existing document if you can create one from scratch perspective? This is obviously an over-exaggeration of how they approach information, but it's actually really surprising how often participants created already existing documents from scratch. Why do they do this? Empowerment, learning, personalization, customization, and simplification. The research methods I used were participant observation, interviews, and document analysis. This is ethnographic-like, but not a true ethnography. Same diversity of methods, emphasis on participant observation, but it's a different goal, to understand the functional how of the organization and knowledge communication therein, not to understand the human experience or culture. The site of my study is the Research Graduate Student Union, which I'm sure you guys can't guess what it is. I selected this because it got a strong commitment to preserving knowledge, large archive of documents of various sorts, 15 to 20 years worth of documents, detailed transcription style minutes taken at many meetings, and a significant amount of time spent saving documents and keeping them accessible. It also has extremely high turnover. Members are active 1 year on average. Every year, almost completely new leadership. Bargaining cycle is typically 3 years, and the organization is constantly on the verge of falling apart. How-to knowledge and organizational history is constantly being lost. Very minimal training for most activities. People leave, they take their knowledge with them. Yet it's still very successful, and in the same way as 10 years ago, even though nobody has any memory of what happened and how 10 years ago. Therefore, thanks to Mike Twidell, we developed the name for this as the Bumblebee organization. It's the organization that looks like it should not be able to fly, yet it flies extremely well. Factors in favor of reuse. It's not that they don't have value reusing documents, it's just that they don't do it. In fact, they have a lot of pressures in the organization to reuse a document. Time is highly valued. Labor is highly valued. The vast majority of work is performed by volunteers. There's more work than the time and energy to do it. Constantly in transition, so tons of people coming through, and all of them are full-time students. Nearly all of them are working. Plus, they're all grad students, so they are experts at using documents. It's not like they don't have the skills to be able to store and reuse documents. Participants themselves are frustrated that existing documents are constantly being recreated. Participants are constantly trying to develop ways of better making documents accessible. So why does recreation happen? Because there are benefits to document recreation that far outweigh the efficiencies of document reuse. What are they? First, empowerment. Empowerment is extremely important for active members to move from legitimate peripheral participation to being centrally active, to move from the apprentice to the master. Document creation is one of the paths that people use in order to feel like they've been entrusted with the labor and have ownership over the creations of the organization. So it leads to a sense of belonging. The benefit of empowerment outweighs the inefficiency of labor. Experienced members will often encourage new members who are excited about recreating a document that already exists because they want them to have the experience and feel the ownership, like FAQs and flyers. And in contrast, staff and experienced members are much less likely to create documents, especially for empowerment. They do a lot more reuse because they already are in that centralized situation in the organization. Learning, the next. Act of recreating document often serves as a learning opportunity. It can be a form of teaching what they know to other people. It can be a form of learning by doing, by trying to write the document and figuring it out. And as Jeff Atwood said, don't reinvent the wheel unless you plan on learning more about wheels, in which case reinventing the wheel can actually be useful. One example is the guide to running department meetings. This has been recreated 3 times that I've seen. One of them was by a person who wanted to capture their experience of doing this in like 10 different departments, and so had all the different possibilities so people would feel empowered to do it however they wanted. The other realized that people just don't do it because they're scared of taking too much time, so made it as simple as possible. And did not even refer to this last version that had been created, just completely redid it for that reason. Each of those was taking their individual learning experiences and putting it in the document. Personalization is another reason why people do it. A personal touch is a way of taking ownership over the document. It makes the document special that distinguishes it from other versions, but it's not sufficient alone as a reason to recreate a document. But it does influence, it's a powerful contributing factor to the decision. The lightest form of personalization is a personal style, vocabulary, or in-joke, but a deeper form is an intensely personal experience that somebody's had in the organization that they want to embody for people who are coming after them to be able to experience, and so they put it in the document. Some examples are a strike reflection, strategic plans, and, of course, the department meeting guides, where that information was personally hard-earned for each of the members. And, of course, the forms can range significantly in between those. Next one, customization. The RGSU is in a constantly changing environment and it needs to be responsive to the situation. It's under constant time pressures, and one of the benefits of document recreation is the fact that produced documents are produced for the moment, so they're customized for that particular moment. Department meeting was created specifically for situations of getting lots of different departments involved. The last one was created at a time when people just weren't holding them because they felt it was too much effort. Both were created to be general purpose documents, but their contextual customization made them especially useful. Interestingly, neither has been long-term adopted, even though they were made for being general purpose. The last reason that people recreate documents is the one that we all know, simplification. Empowerment and learning can be sufficient to motivate document recreation, but they aren't always. Furthermore, personalization and customization are often just contributing to the motivation. The initial push to document recreation is that it's simpler to create the document anew than find it in the archive. This is a well-known fact, so here's the obvious ones. It's easier to make it anew than find it, basically. And here are the conclusions. Empowerment transitions members from being legitimate peripheral participants to centrally active member. Learning allows members to reflect on their experience and capture it for others. Personalization is important to help motivate volunteers to get the work done. Customization allows the created document to be more relevant to the current situation. Simplification, sometimes it's just too much of a pain to find the thing.
Produced by OCE Atlas Digital Media at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign.